Hi, peace lovers. It's December, and I'm still practicing my Kitty Compost voice. For these last couple of weeks of the year, I've gathered 17 holiday inspired public domain readings from writers like L. Frank Baum, Henry David Thoreau, and Charles Dickens. It's a bit quirky, I know, but so is Kitty, and so is the new Peace podcast series arriving right here on New Year's Day, the Peace Experiments, Experiment Zero. A humming government facility, a skeptical fact-checking goat, and a classroom full of teens collide when reporter Kitty Compost begins investigating the myths that keep peace just out of reach. The Peace experiments explore what happens when young people finally ask the questions adults avoid. And perhaps you've been hearing the Next Peacelands here on the podcast. We'll be returning soon to the practice of holding peaceful intention for the specific war zones and the countries that supply weapons to them. But during this stretch of Kitty Reed's Holiday Lit for Peace, the Next Peacelands will simply offer the names of some of the spiritual organizations working quietly and steadily for peace. You can add your own peace intentions to their hopeful rivers of peace if you choose to stay through the end of this episode. As always, the creative books and projects I make for peace can be found at aviskalfsbeek.com, and the music for the Next Peacelands comes from the talented Javier Peque Rodriguez. For a printable list of all Kitty's holiday readings with links to the full texts, visit aviskalfsbeek.com/holiday or see the show notes. Joy and peace to you and yours and to the world. Now over to Kitty. Today's reading comes from Sarah Orne Jewett, one of the finest observers of New England life in the 19th century. Born in South Berwick, Maine, Jewett grew up riding along with her physician father as he visited patients across the countryside. Those early travels became her education in human character. She listened to how people spoke, watched how they carried their worries and their joys, and learned that a community is shaped as much by quiet neighborliness as by grand events. Jewett wrote in what we now call regional realism, but that term can make her sound smaller than she is. What she actually did was record the moral weather of a place, its rhythms, loyalties, silences, and the way people take care of one another without fanfare. Her prose has a clarity that comes from deep trust in ordinary life. Aunt Cynthy Dallett is one of the quieter sketches set in the inland hill country of Maine during the deep winter. While many of Jewett's stories happen on the coast, this one takes us into the snowy mountains where the world is stripped down to its essentials: cold winds, short days, and the steady warmth people offer one another when they make the effort to visit. Jewett didn't think winter was bleak. She thought it revealed character. We'll read just a small portion today, enough to feel her steady hand and to notice how a writer can make a whole world out of a snowy trek, a shared meal, and the plain dignity of someone who has lived carefully and well. And well, honey, I could read the cabin notes off a tide-worn logbook if it helped remind us that community is built from attention, not spectacle. Sometimes the softest stories show us how peace is kept, especially when nobody, for goodness sake, is holding a gosh darn gun. Following is an excerpt from Aunt Cynthy Dallett by Sarah Orne Jewett. "No," said Mrs. Hand, speaking wistfully. "No, we never were in the habit of keeping Christmas at our house. Mother died when we were all young. She would have been the one to keep up with all new ideas, but father and grandmother were old-fashioned folks, and well, you know how 'twas then, Miss Pendexter. Nobody took much notice of the day except to wish you a Merry Christmas." "They didn't do much to make it merry, certain," answered Miss Pendexter. "Sometimes nowadays I hear folks complaining of being overtaxed with all the Christmas work they have to do." Well, others think that it makes a lovely chance for all that really enjoys giving. You get an opportunity to speak your kind feeling right out, answered Mrs. Hand with a bright smile. But there, I shall always keep New Year's Day too. It won't do no hurt to have an extra day kept and made pleasant, and there's many of the real old folks have got pretty things to remember about New Year's Day. Aunt Cynthy Dallett's just one of 'em, said Miss Pendexter. She's always very reproachful if I don't get up to see her. Last year I missed it on account of a light fall of snow that seemed to make the walking too bad, and she sent a neighbor's boy way down from the mountain to see if I was sick. Her lameness confines her to the house altogether now, and I have her on my mind a good deal. How anybody does get thinking of those that lives alone as they get older. I waked up only last night with a start thinking if Aunt Cynthy's house should get summer fire or anything, what she would do way up there alone. I was half dreaming, I suppose, but I couldn't seem to settle down until I got up and went upstairs to the north garret window to see if I could see any light. But the mountains was all dark and safe, same as usual. I remember noticing last time I was there that her chimney needed pointing, and I spoke to her about it. The bricks looked poor in some places. Can you see the house from your north gable window? Asked Mrs. Hand a little absently. Yes'm, it's a great comfort that I can, answered her companion. I have often wished we were near enough to have her make me some sort of signal in case she needed help. I used to plead with her to come down and spend the winters with me, but she told me one day I might as well try to fetch down one of the old hemlocks, and I believed 'twas true. Your Aunt Dallett is a very self-contained person, observed Mrs. Hand. Oh, very, exclaimed the elderly niece with a pleased look. Aunt Cynthy laughs and says she expects the time will come when age'll compel her to have me move up and take care of her, and last time I was there she looked up real funny and says, I do know, Abby, I'm most afeard sometimes that I feel myself beginning to look forward to it. 'Twas a good deal coming from Aunt Cynthy, and I so esteemed it. She ought to have you there now, said Mrs. Hand. You'd both make a saving by doing it, but I don't expect she needs to save as much as some. There, I know just how you both feel. I like to have my own home and do everything just my way, too. And the friends laughed and looked at each other affectionately. There was old Mr. Nathan Dunn left no debts and no money when he died, said Mrs. Hand. 'Twas over to the nieces last summer. He had a little money in his wallet, and when the bill for funeral expenses came in, there was just exactly enough. Some item or other made it come to so many dollars and 84 cents, and lo and behold, there was 84 cents in a separate pocket beside the neat folded bills, as if the old gentleman had known beforehand. His niece couldn't help laughing to save her. She said the old gentleman died as methodical as he lived. She didn't expect he had any money and was preparing to pay for everything herself. She's very well off. 'Twas funny, certain, said Miss Pendexter. I expect he felt comfortable knowing he had that money by him. 'Tis a comfort when all's said and done, especially to folks that's getting old. A sad look shadowed her face for an instant, and then she smiled and rose to take leave, looking expectantly at her hostess to see if there were anything more to be said. I hope to come out square myself, she said, by way of farewell pleasantry, but there are times when I feel doubtful. Mrs. Hand was evidently considering something and waited a moment or two before she spoke. Suppose we both walk up to see your Aunt Dallett New Year's Day, if it ain't too windy and the snow keeps off, she proposed. I couldn't rise the hill if 'twas a windy day. We could take a hearty breakfast and start in good season. I'd rather walk than ride, the road's so rough this time of year. Oh, what a person you are to think of things. I did so dread going way up there all alone, said Abby Pendexter. I'm no hand to go off alone, and I had it before me, so I really got to dread it. I do so enjoy it after I get there, seeing Aunt Cynthy, and she's always so much better than I expect to find her. Well, we'll start early, said Mrs. Hand cheerfully, and so they parted. As Miss Pendexter went down the footpath to the gate, she sent grateful thoughts back to the little sitting room she had just left. "How doors are open," she exclaimed to herself. "Here I've been so poor and distressed at beginning the year with nothing, as it were, that I couldn't think of even going to make poor old Aunt Cynthy a friendly call. I'll manage to make some kind of a little pleasure, too, and something for dear Miss Hand. Use what you got, Mother always used to say when every sort of emergency come up, and I may only have wishes to give, but I'll make 'em good ones." Thank you for listening and allowing me to practice Kitty's reporting voice for the big story ahead. Now stay with me a few minutes longer if you're able for the next Peacelands. Following is a special holiday edition of the Next Peacelands, where we pause on listing the war zones and weapons suppliers. Instead, we rest our intention of peace on a few of the spiritual organizations working tirelessly toward peace. While this list is far from comprehensive, the total number of organizations, large and small, would number in the thousands if we included all who work daily for peace. I ask that you consider taking this time to add your own intention of peace to those working daily toward that goal. Mennonite Central Committee. Peace is here. Community of Santa Hidio. Peace is here. The Network for Religious and Traditional Peacemakers. Peace is here. Religions for Peace. Peace is here. Pax Christi International. Peace is here. American Friends Service Committee. Peace is here. Lutheran Peace Fellowship. Peace is here. The International Fellowship of Reconciliation. Peace is here. Baptist Peace Fellowship. Peace is here. Community Peacemaker Teams. Peace is here. Episcopal Peace Fellowship. Peace is here. Friends Peace Teams. Peace is here. Muslim Peace Fellowship. Peace is here. Buddhist Peace Fellowship. Peace is here. Quaker Peace and Social Witness. Peace is here. Network of Christian Peace Organizations. Peace is here. Network of Spiritual Progressives. Peace is here. United Religions Initiative. Peace is here. The Christian Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament. Peace is here. Agape International Spiritual Center. Peace is here.